Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
Welcome to the first Daily Compliance News for the new year 2021, the January 2 new AML law edition. And we're going to start with that story as the Senate today overrode, or rather on January 1, overrode President Trump's veto of the $740.5 billion NDAA or defense bill. In the NDAA was changes to the Bank Secrecy Act and an expansion of FinCEN powers. We're finally doing away with the scourge of anonymous shell corporations inside the United States. We have major AML changes along with regulatory enforcement increases for FinCEN. I hope you will check out a podcast series next week I'm doing in conjunction with K2 Integrity where we go into a deep dive on the new AML law. So watch for that. Also from the Wall Street Journal, the FBI has increased its probes for corruption overseas by actually doing investigations overseas. They've created a new unit in Miami, which is focused on South America for anti-corruption. It's been instrumental in several cases this year. Sergeant Marine and J&F come to mind. So the squad is being credited with assistance in several other cases as well. So the FBI is extending its reach out for investigations in the anti-corruption field. This is obviously something that's been long overdue, and the FBI has some of the world's most sophisticated investigative techniques. So bringing these strategies to foreign countries, of course, with their cooperation, really enhances the global fight against bribery and corruption. Next up, if you are either are or have done international contracts, this story is for you. Comes to us from the Wall Street Journal. Efforts to skip the London interbank offered rate, i.e. Libor, for new transactions by the end of this year are forcing finance executives to take stock of their contracts, communicate with banks and investors, and adjust their interest rate calculations. If you've ever done an international contract, you know that Libor was the standard rate, but global policymakers have decided to do away with Libor because of the manipulation in the London financial market by members of the banking community. So it was an interest rate benchmark underpinning trillions of dollars worth of financial instruments, but alas, it did prove prone to manipulation. And banks faced actually December 31, 2021 deadline to replace Libor. A majority of financial and non-financial companies recently said their Libor transition plans are ahead of schedule. So if you're one of those categories, I hope you are as well. And our final story from comes today, once again, also from the Wall Street Journal, and it's about chief information officers working from home. They have they've decked out arrangements and included full fine-tuning their setups. And it was interesting to see this survey because many CIOs have been fine-tuning their setups at home. So I found it interesting that chief information officers would really be at the forefront of setting up sophisticated and superior home studios. As a podcaster, this is something that I've had to do. So welcomes to the new year. I know we're all ready for 2020 to end and start 2021. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.